Eagles, but look at what Ryan has done. He's averaging almost 32 fantasy points per game at home. That includes 15 total touchdowns and just 1 interception. Atlanta's averaging 440 total yards of offense and almost 35 points per game at the Mercedes-Benz Dome. So this is a solid start. I also like Jared Goff. We talked about him a little earlier in the show. He has put up a couple of stinkers the last 2 weeks.
The get-right game here?
It is. The 49ers have allowed the 6th most fantasy points to quarterbacks this season. They've also allowed an average of 2.3 touchdown passes this season. So he is a very good play.
Yeah, the secondary is not great. How about a sleeper?
Jameis Winston. Okay, guys, I get it. He's not a sleeper, but I wanted to talk about him because last week we gushed about him, and he had a monster game against Atlanta. This week he plays the Browns, who've allowed an average of over 24 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks on the road, including Derek Carr, who had 4 touchdowns and over 31 points against them earlier this season. So Jameis Winston is a very good play for the second straight week.
And a couple sits.
Deshaun Watson. What a stinker last week. I mean, had his worst stat line ever. Let's put it that way. Now he's got to play the Jaguars. They've allowed just one quarterback to score more than 16.5 fantasy points against them at home since the start of last season. What does that mean? They're tough at home, and they are going to be salty after getting whacked by my Dallas Cowboys last week. I'm also sitting Phillip Rivers. Nothing personal, money. I told you to sit him last week. Didn't have a great game because he didn't really need to. But the Titans defense have allowed only 7 touchdown passes and an average of just 14.9 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. Quarterbacks also have the 8th worst passer rating when facing the Titans. So Rivers is a fade for me.